No, but I don't think he's out there.
I know he pulled out, so I think it's going to be a two-man heat at the moment.
Yeah, so winner moving on to round 3. And what was the deal with Troy? Do you have any kind of insight into what the injury was or why he's unable to surf?
Yeah, I think he's sprained his knee, and he'd been rehabbing it for the last 10 days, trying to get to the point where he could compete. But I guess today he tested it, and I guess he's not able to surf.
Well, this is interesting, Dino. This heat started. It looks like possibly Bruce in the red has chosen to sit way up the sandbar at the actual real takeoff spot here in Mundaka. So these guys making a shift right now. Wardo down on the inside in the rip. Bruce Irons way up high. So basically they got a man-on-man heat, but there's no priority in this heat, Dino, because it is round 1. If Corey Arambeedi shows up, he is in this heat. So these guys are going to battle it out, and interesting to watch the conditions change. It actually looks like conditions are slightly improving. At least the surface of the waves, a little less wind right now.
Well, with Bruce being one of the best tube riders in the world, you can only imagine he's going to try to slide into one of these double-ups along the sandbar here and get barreled. And he's really well known for his tube tactics, and as you see yellow, Chris Ward paddling down the line there, not able to catch that wave. But nonetheless, Bruce still up at the top of the point.
Yeah, and this is interesting to see the difference in strategy. Here goes Bruce. He's way up at the top. Let's see. It's going to be a really fast wall in front of him. He's pumping down the line here, Dino. Does a nice little clacker air and goes down.
Wow, yeah. Looks like it looked like he had it, and he just kind of
fell over the handlebars there. So Bruce, early days, but nice to see him going for it right off the bat. And Dino, we actually saw a really good heat of these exact same two surfers at Chopu about 2 years ago. A really close exchange where Wardo was unfortunate to lose out. It was really close.
Yeah, I think Chris was injured. He had a foot injury then, and somehow he was still just, putting the pain aside and getting barreled, and it was really close. I think it came down to the last exchange. And these guys are really good friends, and I'm imagining this will be a really interesting heat to watch.
Yeah, it is. I'm interested in this strategy here. The waves are a lot cleaner up where Bruce is. It's a little faster still because the bank's a bit shallow up there, but the rip has moved all the way down into the lineup where we saw Jake Patterson in the last heat get his wave. So I think Wardo's probably going to wind up moving up to where Bruce is if I was a betting man.
Looks like we might have a little set out the back here. Yeah, I think that Bruce is onto something. We'll have to wait and see, though. But
yeah, I think he's got a good strategy there. Luke Egan was the last guy to try surfing up there, and it was a little too much rip when Luke tried. But you can see on your camera right there the island behind Mundaka here, and you can see the conditions where Bruce is a little bit cleaner. There's Jake Patterson and Danny Wills walking along the sandbar after their heat. They're way on the inside. That's an amazing shot, Dean. It looks like they're in the desert or something there before you can see the backdrop. Incredibly huge sandbar here in Mundaka. And this is the wave we were talking about. Where they're walking, this sandbar is actually a nice little left and right every afternoon at high tide.
Looks like Chris Ward out the back. Actually on the inside, but still out the back nonetheless. Two nice snaps for Chris there. Man, he looks really... Wow, coming unstuck on that one.
Really on that wave, really quick and snappy. Chris Ward with a nice opening wave. Unfortunate to fall at the end of that wave, but he definitely looked like he was on his game. Chris Ward, I'm pretty sure that'll be a decent score. And now Bruce is going to have a really fast wave. He goes for the barrel here. We've been talking about the Nixon tube time, and Bruce Irons squeaks in there and squeaks out. And I believe we're giving away a Nixon watch for a really nice Nixon watch for the longest tube ride of the event. And so far, I think Tommy Whitaker was in the lead for that. Perhaps Bruce trying to get that watch. You got a nice little barrel there. Nothing really after that. But
yeah, I think Tommy Whitaker is in the lead with a 4-second tube from the first round, Mike.
Yep.
And
so you called it there, Dino. You thought Bruce was going to go for a barrel, and he did. It didn't really open up that much, but he was able to get in there and pop out clean.
I think we're going to see some excitement here in this heat. Looked like Chris looked pretty on. Unfortunately coming unstuck on that last turn there, but nonetheless just
Yeah, we're going to go to a replay of Wardo's wave. Let's take a look here, Dino, and we're going to go to Bruce's wave here. We talked about the barrel. Look at this technique, Dino. Pulls in tight here, grabbing his rail, dragging his arm, stalling his board, and he's looking down the line. Look at how fast this wave is. And here's the section where he just gets in it for a second there. Gets a little shower, looking down the line, and gets out clean. Did well to get out of that.
Well, I think that Bruce Irons, it's safe to say he's got to be one of the best backside tube riders in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, he can grab his rail and get so small, and at the same time he can pump down the line.
Yeah, well, we've seen him at Cloudbreak and stuff, and where he actually got third place against his brother 2 years ago anyway, and he was certainly one of the standouts at restaurants in those, like you said, small left barrels. This wave out here, Mundaka, over sand, but it is similar to restaurants in the fact that it can be a small barrel that goes really fast down the line, and Bruce, no doubt, one of the best at tucking into them. Bruce's barrel comes in at a 4.17, and here goes again. Bruce Irons out the back.
Looks like he was stalling around looking for the barrel again, Mike.
He wants to get barreled. That wave peeled off so fast down the line, and I think we're going to see as the tide moves up, those waves become more and more makeable as we see Jake Patterson, the winner of our last heat, coming up the rocks here at Mundaka. A couple of boards there, and Jake's got to be pretty stoked with that last wave.
Absolutely, just coming through at the final moments of that heat with a 7.0 and taking the first place and moving on to round 3.
Yeah, he's stoked. And we see Wardo's wave, the difference, Bruce had the cover up top here, a 4.17. Wardo's opening wave there, a really good wave, a 6.83. So you can see the judges like those big maneuvers that Chris got on the start of his wave.
Absolutely. Just, you got to think if Chris would have made that last turn, he might have really got even a higher score.
That's right. And I think we got GT down there with Jake Patterson, the winner of our last heat. So we'll maybe take a look at a wave first here, though, Dino. What do we got out the back?
Looks like there's a potential set here for Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce is taking a look here. He's paddling over the first two. There's a couple more behind it, and like we've been saying, waves really filling in here and improving on this high tide. Not high tide, but on the higher tide. And here goes Bruce Irons, Dino.
Look at him in the barrel, Mike.
Oh, the waves just, if Bruce can't get out of the barrel, nobody can. The waves is a little too fast down the line. So Bruce, unfortunate there, and we're going to come down to GT now. He's with Jake Patterson, the winner of our last heat. Take it away, GT.
Sky rockets in flight. All right, Jake, that 7 kind of made the difference at the end there.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky. It came through a bit wider, so it wasn't as quick. I knew as soon as the tide swung, which it looks like it has in this heat after ours, that the rip's going to disappear, but it was pretty roaring in our heat, so I was just lucky it went off the rip and went a bit wider, got a couple of turns.
Now, you got your little cheering section up above there, Teebs and T-Wits and all that. Must be good times.
Yeah, it's always good having the Aussie camaraderie here for sure. We hang in teams around here, You saw it at Trestles with the Key to the Nations, Key to the Continents, I should say. The boys brought it home for us, and, we just love hanging out together and cheering each other on. Nothing much to do around here besides that.
Well, saying that, what do you do kind of in your between times, Jake?
Play golf. Yeah. Hanging out.
You're one of those golf guys?
Golf geeks, mate. That's what they call us. Golf geeks and play with our computers. We're pretty geekish. Hanging out to spend hours on the internet and just playing golf and, I don't know, talking shit, I guess.
Well, up and riding right now, talking smack, if you will. Chris Ward banking it. That's his third backside off the top. Another right there. And he's kind of hanging down on that end, kind of getting the longer ways, where Bruce is kind of sitting up above the rip, kind of getting those short drainers, but kind of a contrast in position out there.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's going to be really tricky for these guys because it's right on the bottom of the tide, just swung. So, we're going to see some interesting tactics coming up in the next few heats, I should think. I mean, as you see, look, Wardo's running around. I mean, jeez, that's pretty hardcore. I mean, it's the rip roars you straight back out, but, I don't think he's going to find the tide's changing. He's going to be pushing him back in, so interesting tactic.
Whoa, Wardo can run. Wow, that's a pretty big deal. All right, well, back to Snips and Dino in the tower. Thanks, Jack.
Ew.
Thanks, GT. You see Wardo running around the bank there. Tide's still really low. He's way out on this bank, running around. He just had a really good ride, and I think Wardo so far, his strategy has paid off by being a bit wide. He's finding that open face.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see Chris back in form, Mike. He's looking quite a bit lighter and just looking more on than I've seen him for a while, and it's great to see.
Yeah, he looks pretty determined in this heat. That wave came through at a 5.50, so Bruce now needs an 8.0. So Wardo with a pretty commanding lead so far. Here's a replay of Bruce. Pulls into this barrel, Dino. This wave looks so perfect. He's perfectly tucked in there. Comes out of it, but unfortunately the wave races off way too fast down the line as he throws it up. Completes the maneuver. Nice flow there from Bruce, but unable to get around the next section. That wave comes through at a 4.33.
Looks like it could be a set moving through the middle out inside there. Red paddling.
Yeah, Bruce taking a look there. He's a little too deep on that one, just too deep. That was a nice wave that peeled down the bank, but now he's kind of down into the spot where Wardo's been sitting the whole heat, so we'll see if Bruce can find an open face wall down there. So far, if you just break this heat down, it's just coming up on the halfway point. Wardo with that 6.83, really the difference in the heat, his first wave with all those quality moves.
Yeah, it's looks like Chris is paddling up on top here, looking to enter on the other side of the rip.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting listening to Jake Patterson's comments about the bank and how quick it's changing. And these guys, as they're watching their heats, they're always constantly trying to predict what the ocean's going to do in the next heat. I mean, the tide is such a big thing here. No two heats are going to be alike. I mean, there's no way that you can just kind of watch an hour before your heat and go, okay, I'm going to sit right there, because the minute you turn your back here, the bank's completely changed.
Absolutely. I mean, every 20 minutes it's a different strategy, and Jake Patterson was lucky enough to get that 7 in the last minute of the heat, and you got to think, being in his position on the ratings with not qualifying on the QS and needing a couple big results on the CT here, it's definitely a good result for him.
Well, Wardo's position in the ratings, I think he needs a good result, right? He had a 5th at lowers, but I believe he's still on that bubble mark. He's one of those guys trying to requalify and stay in the top 28. Bruce, on the other hand, has had a pretty good year, and he's solidly qualified for next year. So maybe a little less pressure, though, although Bruce would love to win the event, of course.
Yeah, he's got a deadly backside, and I guess GT is going to be with Troy Brooks down below.
All right, take it away, GT. Give us the word.
All right, I'm standing here with Troy Brooks. And Troy, just so in case you don't know, your heat's in the water right now.
I know. It was pretty frustrating. I nearly walked away, but no, I'll watch the other boys go.
Well, so, give us, I mean, we were talking the other day on a free surf, and I got to admit, you were surfing really well. So talk about first of all, how did you injure yourself?
Injured myself first day of the France contest. I was just sort of surfing big hotsy gore, and lip landed behind me and sort of blew my knee out. And I first thought, it's just my medial sort of thing. And I was out of that event, went through a whole lot of physio and been working every day. And I was sort of hoping this event would go on hold, which it did for the first sort of week. And then, this sort of came down to the day, and did a lot of tests this morning. My medial actually feels really fine. It's maybe the meniscus or something else that's a little bit funny at the moment. And the rest of my knee's a bit unstable and hurting. And so now, if I recall correctly, you told me it was your front foot that's kind of off? Yeah, that's right. And out here, you're going to be doing lip line floaters and sort of pig dogging in the barrel for me on my backhand. So they're probably the two of the main things you use on your front foot. Now, so the rest of the year, do you have a prognosis yet, kind of what your turnaround potentially is, or have you had a real opportunity to kind of get it looked at? Well, I've seen some amazing people at the SIRS up in France, and they got me right back on track, and the knee was feeling really good. It was just this unstable feeling that was in there, and that sort of got worse as my medial got stronger. Maybe it was sort of hiding the pain a bit or something like that, but the other side of my knee's hurting at the moment, and it's just loose. So, yeah, time-wise, I'm going to fly home, see a surgeon sort of thing, and see what he thinks, and hopefully it's all right, and we'll be back for Brazil. Now, I mean, it must be tough, though, standing here going, oh, I got to be out there. Oh, no, I can't. Yes, I can. So what's your emotions when you're kind of standing here with all your mates? And, I mean, this is your game right here. I know, especially watching Bruce and Chris just paddling the rip down here. I could be sitting out in the back. Nah, it's sort of pretty frustrating.
it was frustrating last week, and then I thought I had a good chance. I was paddling out this morning, and sort of giving it my best, but I sort of got advice not to, and I sort of took it.
Well, erring on the side of caution when you're talking about your knee is probably not a bad thing. So we'll look forward to speedy recovery and a return to Brazil, my brother.
No worries. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. Cheers, Troy. All right, we have a paddle right now. Looks like Red's up and riding. Let's go to Snips and Dino. Thanks, Troy. I appreciate that.
Not going to cooperate here, Dino. Unfortunate for Bruce. He moved down to the spot where Wardo got his 2 waves, and the rip followed him. So Bruce Irons with a long ride there and really no opportunity for moves.
Absolutely. Looks like Chris took Bruce out of his game here and moved him down in the bank with a couple decent scores, but looks like Chris on a bomb out the back. Nice big float. Setting up the inside section. Another big, long section floater there for Chris.
Yeah, two beautiful floaters there from Wardo to get around that section. I don't think it's probably, well, it may go into his top 2. It might get close to that 5-5. He's trying to better a 5-5, but only 2 moves on that wave for Wardo. But it was definitely a set wave down in the zone where Bruce Irons' wave closed out.
Absolutely, and like I was saying before, it looks like Bruce had a plan, and with Chris, striking a couple decent scores, it took Bruce off of his plan. And now look at it. I mean, there's been a couple actually decent waves where Bruce was at the beginning.
Yeah, and we're going to replay here of Wardo. Look at this. He takes off waves a little bit overhead, one of the bigger waves we've seen, flying down the line. He's just cruising along here, looking down the line, positions himself nicely here on this first floater, throws it up on there. Perfect technique there from Chris Ward. Looks still firing down the line. This wave so fast at Mundaka as we see a shot of the water photographer out there on the jet ski, and Wardo lines up a huge floater right here, jumps up on it, rocks his tail down, looking down the line. That was a really nice floater.
That was really sick. I mean, he looked really, really smooth on the lip, and tons of projection and speed throughout that floater.
Perfect style,
really good couple maneuvers there for Chris. Really talented, exciting surfer Chris is.
Yeah, you never know what he's going to do. That's what I like about him. Watching him surf, I have no idea. Of course, Bruce Irons is exactly the same way. You do not know what he's going to do on a wave. Can't predict a thing they're going to do. His wave comes through at a 5.43. It doesn't better his top 2. Just those 2 moves, despite how nice they were, it came through at only a 5.43. Doesn't change the situation. Bruce in second, and still looking for 8 points.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chris is pretty much doing all he can do with with the cards he's dealt.
Yeah, he's only made one mistake in this whole heat, not finishing that one ride, and despite that, he's really capitalized on every wave he's had. And Bruce really has surfed his waves well too. He just hasn't found the opportunities on the waves to do the maneuvers that Wardo has.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see a charge here from the surfer in red, Bruce Irons, here real soon.
Yeah, he's got plenty of time. We see a shot of him there, Bruce Irons paddling back out. When you talk about, when I think of Bruce's surfing, of course I think of Pipe. I think of him, winning at Waimea. I think of all those incredible rides at Chopu and stuff. But a wave like this, Mundaka, he's one of those guys that, if you have your fantasy surf team or whatever, he's certainly one of the guys when you think about this wave, he has a chance to win this event.
Absolutely. I mean, he's, especially if it's tubing,
yeah.
Or there's big air sections. Yeah. I mean, the guy, you got to admit, he just launches himself into sections like no other. I mean, other than a few other guys, maybe Dane Reynolds and a few other guys, he's got to be one of the best.
Oh, hands down.
Humongous, gigantic aerials.
Yeah, I like those ones he does where he just transitions over sections and actually makes it like it's just incredible. Like you said, like Dane Reynolds does sometimes. Bruce is the king at that, and
Chris is too.
Yeah, Chris is too. So both these guys super capable of huge airs. Both of them really good tube riders. We mentioned they surfed against each other at Chopu a couple years ago. We both were sitting on jet skis out there watching that heat, and it was incredible to see how hard both of them were charging. So right now the work is cut out for Bruce Irons. He needs the best wave of the heat so far to get back into the lead. He needs an 8.0. Certainly capable of that score, Dino, but a pretty tall order with 10 minutes to go.
Absolutely. You got to think of 8's best wave of this heat so far, but easily capable
Yeah, he certainly has the ability. As we see a little bit of a lull right now. Conditions here at Mundaka, we passed the low tide by just over, almost coming up on an hour now, past the low, and we've got the glassy, clean conditions now. Both our surfers sitting out the back, waiting patiently. A bit of a lull here, not much wind, and hopefully that swell will fill in a little bit more this afternoon, and we'll get underway in round number 2 as well.
Well, the conditions have got a lot better, and the wind's died, and the tide has turned, and they're actually on kind of more the normal bank now, as they're kind of moving up the point a little bit.
Yeah, they're slightly creeping up this point. Of course, coming up next, you're going to see Bede Durbridge, Poncho Sullivan, and Paula Mora. That's going to be a great heat. Of course, Bede was the winner at Lower Trestles. Poncho Sullivan been surfing incredible this year on the tour from Hawaii, and Paula Mora from Brazil. Those guys are on deck in just under 10 minutes time. And then, of course, the last heat of round number 1 will be Mark Akalupo, Darren O'Rafferty, and Pedersen Rosa, as Chris Ward is with a quick up and down.
Yeah, I mean, how are some of those hacks that Poncho's been throwing in our face, Mike?
We were in the water. Jeez, he scared me the other day. We were surfing this reform, this little right, and Poncho takes off on this wave and was pumping down the line, and I was kind of on the top of the lip, and he came up. Honestly, I've never seen a turn like that in my life. I don't think it was the most powerful turn I've ever seen anyone do ever.
I don't think he could turn harder than that and throw more of a hack than that. He was just. I was going, do it, and he just unloaded that thing. I was like, wow, man.
He's really fun to watch, and really just a treat to have on the tour, because he's so into it, and he's just a pleasure to watch. And his surfing kind of really has taken over where Sonny Garcia left off with that power brand of surfing. Here goes Bruce Irons. This is the type of wave he's been looking for, Dino.
Oh, looked like he got a little overexcited and went over the handlebars there, Mike.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate for Bruce. That wave had a lot of potential on it. And Bruce looking for that 8. Unfortunately, a little mistake there. Here goes Wardo. Let's see Wardo's answer. He's got a long wall in front of him. He's a little bit deep and just dives through it. That's not going to go into his top 2. And really the story there, Dino, was Bruce getting that chance. And unfortunately, like you said, just a little too quick off the top and just caught his rail for a second pearl and went down.
It looks like the conditions are getting better, Mike, and there's a set out the back here, and we'll have to wait and see, but could be an opportunity for Bruce Irons as these waves round the point here.
Well, it's interesting to note, how it's quickly moving back up the sandbar. We've been talking about it, but, I mean, literally every 10 minutes the conditions completely change here at Mundaka, and really challenging for these competitors to read it right and wind up on the best waves. Here goes Bruce. He's on the double up. He's got a bowl in front of him. This could be the wave, Dino. He's in and out of the barrel. He's in the barrel. He's really deep in it.
Oh, wow. See, there you go. There's Bruce Irons doing what he does best, just getting funneled down the point, Mike.
Well, what's really interesting about that, Dino, is he sat there patiently. That was his strategy at the start of the heat. Then he moved down and played a little bit of Wardo's game. He went back to his game. He's looking for an 8, and I think he's going to get it.
Safe to say, he might be giving Tommy Whitaker a run as well for the best tuba
right. He was
of the event.
A long time.
There was like a section there where it didn't look like he was going to come through it.
That was
punched right through it, Mike.
That was an amazing tube ride from Bruce Irons. He's going to get the highest score of the contest so far to date, a 9.67. So Bruce Irons pulling it out.
There you go. I mean, he's nothing short of a genius in the tube, Mike.
How did he weave through that thing?
I mean, he's got to be just it's amazing. The kid, he just finds the barrel and plows through it.
Yeah, that was truly brilliant surfing from Bruce Irons. Huge score there. And imagine if you're Chris Ward right now. You surfed such a good heat. Bruce waited patiently all the way and got that score. And here goes Wardo.
Looks like Wardo on outside, maybe getting a little stuck behind, but nonetheless on the open face now. Nice little snap. Big float down the line. Another big snap. Wow, Mike, Chris just pouring it on here. Oh.
Well, here goes the finish for Wardo. If he can finish this strong, he does a little error and goes down. Wardo was looking for a 7.18, and super, super interesting heat here, Dino. That's going to be very close. He may well indeed go back into the lead. This thing is seesawing back and forth. It's going to be really close. We're going to watch Bruce Irons barrel again here on replay.
Well, look at Bruce here. You can tell he knew what he needed, and look at this thing. He's just stalling in perfect form. That first section, he already came through one section. Here he backdoors this next section, just pumping through it. And look at that wave, Mike. It's just perfect form. And he just comes right through that second section. Almost a double barrel for Bruce Irons there, Mike.
Double barrel there from Bruce. Incredible surfing. We see him come off the bottom here. Nice little snap off the top. And he was in that tube a long time, Dino. Here's the finish to his wave. Just comes up. That was the highest score of the contest so far. Bruce Irons got a 9.67. However, with the wave Wardo we talked about, despite how brilliant that wave was of Bruce, Wardo comes through with a 7.83 and snatches the lead back. Wow. So now the pressure goes back to Bruce with 3.5 minutes to go. Bruce now looking for a 4.99, a relatively easy score to get if he gets a chance.
Absolutely. Really just a mid-range score for Bruce Irons to take over the lead in this heat with only 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. You got to think if a set comes, he's going to try to surf it really smart and try to get the score, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. He has a great chance of getting it, but I was really also impressed there with the composure of Chris Ward. You can kind of hear the crowd yell and scream. You hear the score of a 9.67. That can easily demoralize you if you're someone like Chris Ward and you hear the highest score of the event come over the commentaries, but he didn't. He fought back and got his score. Time's winding down now, Dino. There's a nice set approaching, and Bruce Irons is out the back.
Yeah, you got to wonder whether or not Bruce is going to try to go for a barrel, or he's going to actually just try to turn on the next wave he catches, because he only needs a 5-point ride.
Well, here he goes. He's got a nice looking wave here, Dino. This has some potential. It's going to be quick down the line though. He goes for a huge floater, lands it, and goes down.
Yeah, he looks like he was confused whether to pull in the barrel or go down the line. And he chose to go down the line, but it might have been a little bit too late.
Yeah, I think perhaps he was, a touch deep on the wave. I think he kind of read the wave right in the end, going for the big floater to try to get around it. The wave just wasn't going to allow it, and we're going to watch a little replay here on our screen. And here goes Wardo's wave. This is the wave that took him back into the lead. He jumps up on the lip there, comes around. This middle part of the wave, he really gets going here, Dino. Big snaps, beautiful timing there from Wardo. A series of quick turns. And like you said, he looks really snappy and on. And really nice surfing there from Chris Ward. This wave came through at a 7.83 and put him back into the lead.
Yeah, Chris looks really lively on his board at the moment. Just fast and drivey. And nonetheless, there is 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining, and the surfer in second position needing a 4.99, and looked like he might have went on that one, but he didn't. He decided not to go.
No, he decided to wait. There's still a little bit of time. I don't know if another set's going to come, but Bruce Irons kind of rolling the dice there, saying he's at 1 minute and 20 now. I think it was a smart move to not take that wave. He still needs a decent score of 4.99. He knows he needs a quality wave to get it, and time will tell here as Chris Ward's got to be really nervous right now, Dino, with time ticking. He wants this heat over right now. Bruce, on the other hand, just crossing his fingers. He's going to get a set. There's a minute to go and a couple medium-sized waves on the horizon. Bruce may get an opportunity here.
They look a little bit deep on the bank from the looks of them from up here. But
yeah, they're sneaking down to him, though, now. He's going to have a choice here, Dino. Does he go for this first one? It's kind of a smaller wave, but it may have a little wall on it. He decides not to go. Wardo further down the line, taking a look himself. He's trying to better one, and here goes Chris Ward up and riding on his backside with a nice first snap. Comes down the line, a big floater there around the section. Big, huge snap there from Ward. And
looks like Bruce out the back, Mike. Big float. Looking to get down the line here.
Yeah, here he goes.
Another big floater.
Yeah, he's got a lot of
really
wall
important move here. Oh, wow! That's a really interesting finish there, Mike.
That was clutch surfing from Bruce.